Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's been a couple years now since I've done a video on my kayak setup, and a few things have changed since then. So today I'm going to take a few minutes and show you guys how I have my Wilderness Systems Tarpon 120 rigged up for 2014. So we'll start out at the front, where I've got a ram base installed just behind the front handle. And this is one of the composite bases with a 1.5-inch ball. I really don't use it for much. The main reason it's here is it replaced the old base that I had mounted here, which I used with my old camera system. It was pretty much the same base, it just had a 1-inch ball instead of the 1.5. So when I got rid of that camera, I figured I'd swap this out just to make it compatible with the rest of the ram bases that I have installed. And right behind that, we've got the paddle keeper. And I replaced the bungee on this with a longer piece, and that way I could use it as part of my anchor trolley system. You can see this bungee loop holds onto the front pulley, and it also gives it a little bit of flex there for the windy days. And we'll follow that to the handle, where I've got the anchor trolley split into two sections. And you can see here on either side of the handle we've got one of these nylon rings, another pulley, and then a carabiner, which is what clips it to the handle there. And we've got the same thing going on this side. We'll keep following that to the back of the kayak, where I've got one more pulley, another little section of bungee there to give it a little bit of play. And this metal piece here I had to make myself out of 1/8-inch thick aluminum. And I've got that mounted in a spot that was meant for part of the rudder system. There's actually a little recessed circle there and then a threaded insert. So that made mounting that real easy. Moving on to the fish finder, you can see here I use a Humminbird 385 CI. And this is really a great little fish finder for the kayak. It's nice and compact. It's got GPS, and it's got the little door here you can pop off and add a lake map chip in there if you want. And I've got the transducer for that glued down inside the hull, right underneath the cup holder. And the battery is up inside the front hatch here. And I've got a waterproof box, and that's actually glued down in there so it's not going to move around at all. And inside there I've got a 12-volt 9-amp-hour battery. There's plenty of power to run that fish finder all day. And back here, just to the right of the seat, I've got one of these zigzag style anchor cleats, and I use that to attach my boga grip to. That way I'm not going to drop it in the water and have to go for a swim to retrieve it. This is the 15-pound version, and it gives you weight readings in quarter-pound increments. And that just sits right inside the flush mount rod holder there. And I also attach my net right here, which really works out well. I can net my fish, grab them out of there, and just toss the net in the water and deal with it later. And this net is a Frabill rubber-handled trout net. It's really a great little kayak net. It did come with an elastic leash. I ended up replacing it though. The one it came with was a little thin. It was probably only about an 1/8-inch thick. I ended up using this 1/4-inch thick shock cord, and then I glued that cap back in there when I popped it back in. That way if I ever drop this in any heavy river current, it's not going to pop that cap off there and cause me to lose my net. And that just sits right in the back of the kayak there. And on the other side of the crate, I've got my check it stick. Getting those length measurements on the bigger fish. This one is good for up to 25 inches. And moving on to the milk crate, we'll start at the front here, where I've got a little compartment where I can fit one of these waterproof tackle boxes. It's usually more than enough. I can get a day's worth of tackle into there. This one I've got kind of set up for river fishing. A few different color jig heads, a few different color of bitsy bug jigs. Got some reef runner cicadas, and a couple of topwater lures. Got my crazy glue. There's a bunch of miscellaneous stuff in there, little clippers. Keep a little file in there for sharpening hooks. I got a few of these boxes set up. This one's kind of my smallie box. I got another one for a largemouth bass, and another just kind of miscellaneous one. And it's got that little strap there to hold that in so it doesn't rock back and forth while I'm paddling. And I've got this soft cooler bag here I use to store my plastic baits. See what I got in there today. I got some yum dingers, a whole bunch of Kalin's grubs. That's about all I got in there. Some more yum dingers, a whole bunch of different colors of grubs. And that little cooler bag works real well. It keeps the water out of there. It keeps them a little bit cooler in the summer, and it keeps those UV rays off of them, so they're good and protected inside of there. And I got some bug spray and some sunblock and a little bottle of camp soap. This white PVC tube is part of the camera mount. We'll get to that in a minute. And I've got 3 black PVC rod holders in the crate. The camera mount didn't leave me a whole lot of room for the rod holders, so they do get a little bit cramped. I can fit 1 bait caster and 2 spinning in there, no problem. If I do bring another bait caster, they pretty much take up all the room. You pretty much lose that middle slot. So I got a couple of extra tube rod holders here. And I made these myself. I used that same black 1 1/4 inch PVC, and then I glued in the PVC cap, and then I took one of the ram hex buttons and I bolted all that together, and then I got this little ram clamp piece that clamps onto that hex button, and on the other side clamps onto the 1 1/2 inch ram ball, and the mounting bracket there for the slide tracks I made out of 3/8 inch ABS plastic. The thing I like about these, they're lightweight. They're great just for storing the rods. I don't think I'd use them for trolling. I'd be a little bit worried that they're going to snap at that PVC cap there. But I do have a set of the aluminum ram rod holders that I would bring if I was actually going to troll with them. I just use these ones for storing rods. And I mean, they're plenty of strong where if I hit a tree or something, it's not going to snap off of there. Most of the time, the 3 that I got in the crate there are plenty. And I really just brought these for video purpose today. 9 out of 10 times I don't need them. I can fit everything in the crate there. But I figured I'd bring them just to show them off today. And next we'll take a look at the camera mounts. So we'll start with the crate mount first. So to hook that up, first I need to remove this protective cap from that PVC pipe. And that just keeps any dust or dirt from getting in there. Main reason is that there's some electrical contacts, so I want to keep them nice and clean. You can see the 4 little copper contacts at the end of the camera pole here. And then there's 4 little spring-loaded copper pins inside there that those meet up with. So to make sure everything lines up right, you can see there's 2 little brass pins at the top of at the receiving end of the camera mount. And those meet up with these little notches on this PVC piece that's glued onto the camera pole. So we'll slide that in there. And then this PVC ring just slides down and screws in over everything to hold everything in place. And there we go, we should have the red light on, which we do. So the GoPro is receiving power. And for audio, I use this Zoom H1 audio recorder. I built my own shock mount out of PVC and some O-rings. And I made that swivel, that way when I'm sitting in my seat here, I can look back when I hit that button and make sure that the screen's actually showing that it's recording. And moving up to the GoPro. The reason that there were 4 electrical connections in there, 2 of them are for the 5 volts that run the GoPro. And I also run a 3.7 volt signal up here to power a little Olight S10 flashlight. And that just plugs right in there. And you see I've got a little Lego piece glued onto the top of the GoPro case. And there's also one glued onto the flashlight here. And that just pops right on there. And then I've got that 3.7 volts wired into its own switch, because most of the time it's shut off. You can see it inside there. It's inside the crate so nothing accidentally hits it. So we should have power going to that now. Hit the button, and there we go. 320 lumens. Works great for a video light, or just a light for paddling around at night. I mean, that thing will light up pretty much everything within 20 feet of me, so it's kind of nice to have when you're out here on those new moon nights and it's just pitch black out. And we'll come back around to this side. And this camera mount, it's got its own battery inside the crate here. I've got another one of these outdoor products, waterproof boxes. And I've got a smaller battery for this one. This is a 12 volt, just a 5 amp hour, which is plenty to run that GoPro all day. I mean, I can fill up 2 64 gig cards with that thing, no problem. And then the voltage converters are just mounted right back here, kind of behind that PVC tube. And those run directly to the 4 little spring-loaded copper pins inside there. And send the voltage up that way so I can shoot video all day long without having to switch batteries. And here's a look at the front camera mount. And this one installs right in front of the fish finder. So first we'll have to remove the protective cover from the base. So I'll just unscrew this ram ball, and then the base will just slide right off of there. And this one also supplies external power to the camera. So you can see these 2 little copper contacts at the front of the base. Those meet up with these 2 little copper pins at the bottom of the camera mount. And I've got a little foam gasket here, this orange piece. Hopefully that'll prevent any water from getting up in there. And this aluminum piece is also a splash guard. It kind of hangs over the bottom part of the base here, and there's also a little bit of that black foam gasket there too. It's a real tight fit along the front, so that keeps any water from getting inside there in the first place. And so far it's worked great. I haven't seen a single drop of water in there yet, so pretty happy with how it's been working. And that just slides right in there. We'll pop that ram ball back in place, and that'll prevent the whole mount from sliding forward and losing connection with those copper contacts. And both of the GoPros, I had to put a hole in the case in order to run the plug. Didn't have any problems with the back one all last year. That one's high enough from the water where I don't really worry about it. This one I've already had a couple of drops of water splash in there, but no problems so far, so hopefully it stays that way. The Zoom H1 I use up front here though, I made a protective cover for, and I used the vacuum sealer I have at home. I just made a little pouch that just slides right over the Zoom H1, and hopefully that'll keep any water from getting into there. You can still hit the button through the plastic and read the screen and everything, so works pretty well. And this runs off the same battery as the fish finder. I've got another voltage converter just right underneath the base inside the hull. And I've also run a switch up to the center hatch here, just in case I ever need to cut power to that camera in a hurry. I've got a switch right down here that I can flip, and that'll cut the power going to the voltage converter for that camera. Well, I think that covers just about everything. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. I always enjoy reading those. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.